You're in step 4. What should you expect? As I mentioned before, healing isn't a 3-day cleanse. Detoxification, right? The removal of toxins is not a 3-day cleanse. What is the true multivitamin? Because of the toxins we're exposed to on the daily basis, a binder a day is the true multivitamin. Now, clearly, step 4 is to push and support detoxification. But detoxification support needs to happen on a daily basis. It can be a lot less later on, but it still needs to happen because of the toxins, chemicals, and poisons that we're exposed to. And toxicity creates deficiency. So we want to optimize health by minimizing toxin exposure and continually just detoxing what we're exposed to. So what should you expect while focusing on detoxification? Expect that it takes some time. You're peeling each layer back. In the process, though, there might be a few tears. That's okay. You'll get through it. And just remember the drainage funnel. The more you support drainage, the less symptoms that you will have. All right, coming back to the drainage funnel. The colon at the base is the rate-limiting step of the entire funnel. If the colon's backed up, that impacts the liver and bile ducts. If the liver and bile ducts get negatively impacted, right, they start backing up. They don't have proper drainage. Then the lymphatic system above that starts backing up. So the reason why lymphatic system isn't talked about in step 1 or even step 2 is because it's not the rate-limiting factor in drainage. However, it is extremely important. So this is why we really want to focus on lymphatic system, starting to move and open things up. We don't want to focus on it immediately though, because we got to make sure the base of the drainage funnel is open. So now we're on to the lymphatic system. Drains fluid back into the bloodstream to avoid excess swelling and inflammation. Filters lymph nodes, filters the blood, removing old cells and replacing them with new ones. Removes impurities from the body, using the liver primarily. Filters infection with special white blood cells. Now the theme for the lymphatic system is we want less fluid and higher quality. A major circulatory system. The human body has 2 major circulatory systems. The blood, which everybody's familiar with, and the lymphatic system. Lymph means, in Latin, clear water. I found this in an article, journal article in 2020, and I thought this was just so profound, and I agree with it. The lymphatic system is arguably the most neglected bodily system. Crazy. Lymph covers most of the body, so you'll find rich lymphatic vessel network supplies the skin dermis, mucosal membranes covering major organs, including the respiratory tract, nasal pharyngeal cavity, intestines, mesentery, diaphragm, heart, and lungs. Lymph is everywhere in the body. This Big 6 routine was developed by Dr. Perry Nicholson, and it's for improving lymph flow. The thing I love about this is that you can do it at home. There's nothing to buy. There's nothing that costs you money, and it makes huge impact. I think it's great to do first thing in the morning when you wake up. I think it's also a great thing you can do in the middle of the day or even in the evening. My favorite is doing it every morning. So what it involves is 6 different areas or points. That's where the Big 6 name comes from. And at each point, you're basically going to rub the area, tap it, and then you can do circles as well. So if I'm rubbing, I'm just basically like back and forth, tapping, and then circles both directions. So the first area is, you have your collarbone right here, is above the collarbone and right below it. So you're just gonna pick each spot, you're gonna rub it, tap it, and then do circles. Go clockwise and counterclockwise. So I'm above the clavicle, I'm below it. I do the same thing, right? I rub it. Especially if you find a tender area, focus on that. Tap, and then circles. And I'm doing the same thing on the opposite side. Then the second point is if you have your earlobe here, just below that on the side of the neck, that's where you're going to start rubbing, tap, and then circles in both directions. And you're going to do both sides. So if you look at the side of the ear here, just below the earlobe on the upper part of the neck is the area you want to key in on. The third point is the chest to shoulder junction, which is essentially the front armpit area. This is especially important for females to make sure lymphatic fluid of breast tissue is draining. Again, you're going to do the same thing, right? You're going to rub, tap it, circles. One of the things I also do is I take a massage gun with the soft tip and I hit the areas too. Now this is a little more sensitive area, right? Behind the neck's a little more sensitive area, but some of these like below the collarbone, right? It's more like thicker. That's a good area. The armpit, can help move that. You're going to do both sides. The fourth spot's the abdomen. So basically right around the belly button and right above. And I like using the open hand so you can stack both hands and then you can also put one over top of each other. And again, it's this one, right? You're going to go rubbing back and forth. Tapping's a little, maybe not so much on the stomach, and then circles. And then when you overlap, you can put deeper pressure. Then you got the front hip groin junction, which is basically essentially like if you put underwear on, and for guys, right, like the briefs, not the top strap, but the bottom straps that go at the very top part of the leg and the front, that's where that band is. That's essentially the area we're going after. Inguinal lymph nodes is the area. But basically the front hip groin junction, just be careful, obviously, of the private parts. And then the sixth area is behind the knees, the back of the knees. So you can go right on the back of the knee, a little bit below, about an inch or two, and then above about an inch or two. And you do both sides. Those are the 6 points. So the reason why Dr. Perry says to start in the collarbone area is because this is the lowest lymphatic pressure. This is like the last part of the drainage. We want to make sure to open up the lowest lymphatic pressure first, right? You start with the low pressure, then you work towards the high pressure, which high pressure would be legs, hands, head. So we start and we do it specifically in this order. And by starting at the collarbone where the pressure is the lowest and working outward and upward ensures that these low pressure pathways remain open and able to receive lymph from other parts of the body so we can drain. So if you have swelling in your feet, you don't work at the feet. Again, you follow these 6 points in the proper order. Above and below the collarbone. And you can see I've put the number 1 in that area, right? Both sides. Do one side at a time. I think 30 to 60 seconds of each point area is good, especially a little bit longer on the first few points because, again, that's the weak point. So if you want your legs to drain, if you want your head to drain, like it depends on the collarbone. If you want the abdomen, the inguinal lymph nodes to drain, it depends on the collarbone. So you can see the number 1 indicates the above and below the collarbone. Number 2, right, the side, right below the earlobe, upper neck area. I have arrows pointing to those. Number 3 is the chest shoulder junction, which is essentially that front armpit area. Get in there on that. You have the abdomen, and again, the open hand position. So if you put one hand on the top 2 fours and the other hand on the bottom 2 fours, that's on the image right next to me here, and then just go up and down with the hands together, go sideways, then start doing clockwise, counterclockwise. Then you can stack the hand, push it a little bit deeper, do the same thing, up and down, sideways, counterclockwise, and clockwise. Then you're going to get to the front hip groin junction, inguinal lymph node area. Again, just be cautious of the sensitive parts down there. And then you're going to get to the back of the knees. So this is a great one if you want to screenshot or use a slide just as reference. Every morning, do this. And I promise you, it's going to make a huge difference in just moving the fluids. You're going to have more energy. You're going to feel better during the day. And then again, if you feel stressed during the day, if you feel at the end of the day you're puffy, inflamed, do this before bed too. Right? This is going to help you sleep. This is an awesome thing to implement, and I look forward to hearing your awesome results.